counterpart in 2009 targeted for surveillance an email account used by Israel's then Prime Minister Ehud Olmert.
In the close ties between Israel and the United States, there are things that must not be done and that are not acceptable to us.
Olmert has since said he did not use the email account in question to transmit sensitive data. But the revelation now adds Israel, America's closest ally in the volatile Mideast, to the long list of nations that are either outraged or professing outrage over NSA's overseas operations. President Obama is using his Hawaiian getaway to draft reforms for NSA based on recommendations from his own advisory panel. One of those recommendations is that he forbid the NSA from continuing to harvest telephone metadata, information like numbers dialed and length of calls for virtually every telephone in the country, and instead require the agency, if it needs such data from phone companies in the future, to obtain warrants. In the past, Mr. Obama has claimed the so-called Section 215 program has disrupted terrorist attacks.
The President agrees with General Alexander, the head of the NSA, who spoke yesterday on Capitol Hill about the programs under Sections 215 and 702 and how they have helped thwart dozens of attacks.
But in calling for the program to be reformed, a leading member of the President's panel said on Sunday it has not played a significant role in stopping terrorist attacks in the United States, and suggested administration officials, including the President, have exaggerated the program's usefulness.
Because this program remains important, okay, perhaps not as important as some have said, but because it remains important, it's important for the government to continue to be able to query this data.
On Friday, President Obama sidestepped a question about whether ex-NSA contractor Edward Snowden, whose leaks of classified documents broke the NSA story in June, should be granted amnesty if he's willing to return from Russia and cooperate with authorities to prevent additional disclosure. National Security Advisor Susan Rice, appearing on 60 Minutes, slammed the door shut on that idea.
We don't think that Snowden deserves amnesty. We believe he should come back, he should be sent back, and he should have his day in court.
Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Patrick Leahy, Democrat of Vermont, told NBC News this weekend his panel will hold hearings on NSA reform early in the new year. Shannon?
James, thank you. Susan Rice was also asked about the talking points she used on the 5 Sunday shows after the deadly September 11th attack on the Benghazi consulate and the backlash the now discredited talking points created.
I don't have time to think about a false controversy. In the midst of all of the swirl about things like talking points, the administration has been working very, very hard across the globe to review our security of our embassies and our facilities. That's what we ought to be focused on.
The United Nations has approved a request for new diplomatic status for Indian diplomat Davyani Kobrade, who was arrested and strip-searched last week. If granted, the new status could allow the diplomat to return to India without prosecution for visa fraud. The State Department is the final step in the process and is offering no comment. Coming up, the administration's regulation agenda.